active has Reddit been in the secondary market?
Reddit has definitely been a popular name in the secondary market over the years. As Katie said, this is a 19-year-old company, so there has been a lot of demand for liquidity from early shareholders over time. We know they did a tender offer in 2021, so I think that helped alleviate maybe some of that liquidity need. But I think there's still a lot of demand for liquidity that will come, via the IPO. But what we've seen from, trades that have been reported recently in the secondary market is about a $4.5 or $4.8 billion valuation. So the fact that they're eyeing a $5 billion valuation kind of makes sense, since companies tend to trade at a discount in the private markets where you don't have that same liquidity that you do in the public markets.
Who, if you can garner this at all from the activity in the secondary market, is this going to be a retail name, given, well, Reddit became synonymous with meme stock investing because of Wall Street bets? Is it more likely to be bought by a retail investor? Will institutional players be interested in a company that isn't yet posting profits?
I think they're really betting on there being retail interest in this name, or, in their S1, they even say as a risk factor, the fact that there is retail interest, or they expect retail interest, is going to cause volatility in the stock. The fact that they are issuing shares to 75,000 power users, or allowing those users to buy into the IPO, will also create some volatility, since there's no lockup to those shares. They're going to allow those shares to trade freely. So I think they're expecting a lot of retail activity, which is likely to increase the volatility of the stock, especially in its early days. From an institutional investor perspective, I think you're right. We've seen over time that institutions are less interested in these unprofitable companies. And Reddit is interesting because while they are a 19-year-old business, they really didn't start monetizing until 2018. So their monetization engine is relatively young and unproven, and advertising is 98% of that engine now. And there are opportunities for them on the data licensing front. As Katie mentioned, the Google partnership they talked about this week. But a lot of that is very forward-looking and unproven. So I'm curious to see how institutions, take that into account.
And Steve Huffman, having been there at its birth in 2005, still driving that new iteration of Reddit. And where is the risk factor in cozying up with large language model makers, with the big tech firms that want to scrape the data?
Yeah, we've heard this from the Reddit community, that there has been some pushback about this and concern, but it really is these human conversations that are needed to train these models. And Reddit has, billions of posts and comments on its platform that are the exact types of posts and comments that will help train those models. So I think there could be a little backlash from users on the platform, but it is a huge monetization opportunity. At the $60 million contract they're talking about with Google, that only makes up about 7.5% of their current revenue. But if this is something that they can replicate with others, it could become a much more sizable part of their business. But an interesting thing that they do note is that these language learning models could also hinder their business. So if people go to ChatGPT instead of Reddit to ask whatever question they'd ask on Reddit, Reddit may lose daily active users, and that's really going to hurt their ad revenue in the end. So it's a double-edged sword.
Well said. Brianne, I'm interested in that advertising focus. Ultimately, when analysts go out there and try to decide who's Reddit's competitors are they immediately going to be looking to Alphabet, to Meta, to other social media platforms?
I think those are the obvious, competitors in the space, and this market has gotten a lot more competitive as ad dollars have been pulled back. What Reddit is really trying to sell investors on is the fact that they can allow advertisers to reach a much more niche target audience. So, you're a sleeping bag manufacturer, you want to talk to people who are camping, we have a conversation of thousands of people who are specifically talking about this, and their ability to actually convert people. From their own research, they've shown that 61% of their users say they're more likely to trust an ad that comes from Reddit. So if that can be proven in the clicks and the impressions that these ads get, they may have a bit of an edge, even though their audience is much smaller than these other platforms. But I think we're still early in proving that out.